Chris Wallace, a registered Democrat for at least 3 decades.
A lot of people come up to me these days and say how fair I am. Some even say that I'm a voice of reason.
That was bullshit.
Here tonight is real estate tycoon and best-selling author Donald Trump.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. You have flirted with the idea of politics. Now you're here at your first national convention. Does that get you interested in possibly making the plunge?
I do feel very strongly about the country. I love the country, but I think you're going to have probably George Bush as your next president. He's an excellent guy, an excellent man. He's a friend of mine, and I'm here for that reason.
Well, I wasn't talking about this year, Mr. Trump, but you have said that if you ran for president, you'd win.
I think I'd have a very good chance. I mean, I like to win. When I do something, I like to win. I like to do well, and I think I probably would have a pretty good chance.
I think we're all, at least I'm coming to the conclusion tonight, conclusion's the wrong word, to open to the possibility Donald Trump could be the next president of the United States.
We're going to start talking about.
If we're going to talk about
that's fine.
records,
if you want to talk about what
records.
Joe Biden was doing in the 1970s when he worked with segregationist senators,
let's talk
absolutely.
about how
Have
just
at it.
in this election,
Have
this election,
Have at it.
he said that he believes that all black people think the same, and he said if you're not voting for him and
you know
you're
what?
black, then you ain't black.
I'm not Chris
That's
Wallace.
Thank you, Tim.
Fact.
I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News.
I'm not Chris Wallace.
Chris Wallace is no stranger to presidential debates.
The bullying, the greed, the showing off, the misogyny, the absurd third-grade theatrics. One of the problems with Trump is he throws around a lot of numbers, he throws around a lot of rhetoric, and nobody kind of fact-checks him on it, or maybe they'll fact-check him in the newspaper the next day and a little thing in the Washington Post. Bullshit. A lot of people come up to me these days and say how fair I am. And I thought it would be really interesting to do that in the debate, in real time. Yeah,
fact-checking.
A fact-check in live time.
CPD uses a fundamental criteria to identify moderators, and understanding that the debate should focus maximum time and attention on the candidates and their views.
You know, it's not solely vaccine-based. Other things have never had a vaccine and they go away.
Can COVID-19 just go away, as the president said?
Other things have never had a vaccine and they go away.
Can COVID-19 just go away, as the president said?
Other things.
Chris Wallace, our very own Chris Wallace from Fox News Sunday, on September 29th will be hosting the first presidential debate.
And my job is to be as invisible as possible. I'm trying to get them to engage, to focus on the key issues, to give people at home a sense of why I want to vote for one versus the other. But if I've done my job right, at the end of the night, people will say, that was a great debate. Who was the moderator?
The person sitting in that chair asking the questions Tuesday night is Chris Wallace, and he is going to ask the smart questions and the questions the American people want to know.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities? What are your views on the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacists?
I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke. I've been doing it now for 2 weeks. You're probably about the 18th person that's asked me the question. It was very clear. That question was also talked about in the form of groups. I want to know, which groups are you talking about? You have to tell me which groups.
Saw in Kenosha, and as we've seen in Portland.
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared to specifically
do it? I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white supremacists
and right
Proud Boys. I want to know, which groups are you talking about? You have to tell me which groups. Ultimately, he got to the Ku Klux Klan, which obviously I'm going to disavow. And by the way, if you look on my Twitter account, almost immediately after the program, they were disavowed again. somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. That's what his FBI, FBI director said.
Well, Chris Wallace on Media Buzz on Sunday. I asked him whether he thought it was the job of the moderators to kind of rein in the candidates doing the insult thing and punching at each other. And he said, well, you can only do that to a certain point. And he is, of course, right.
No, the answer to the question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
that
get rid
is
of
absolutely
you know what,
not true.
You're doing it.
You're going to
Not
have
true.
Gentlemen. I hate to raise my voice, but I see it seems to be, why should I be different than the two of you?
He is going to ask the smart questions and the questions the American people want to know.
So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Right. Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised.
Wallace has said he won't be fact-checking the candidates on stage, describing his moderator role as similar to that of a fly on the wall.
And I thought it would be really interesting to do that in the debate in real time. Yeah, fact check. A fact check in live time. Sure. Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Of course I have. We have to repeal and replace Obamacare. The Senate is very close to the votes it needs to pass a replacement. The problem is we have zero help from the Democrats. They're obstructionists. That's all they are. That's all they're good at is obstruction, making things not work.
You have never in these 4 years come up with a plan.
People are hurting. Inaction is not an option. And frankly, I don't think we should leave town unless we have a health insurance plan, unless we can give our people great health care, because we're close. We're very close.
Late today, Republicans released details of their long-awaited replacement plan for Obamacare.
Scott, there is one thing and one thing only that lawmakers are doing this evening, and that is reading through this 66-page bill that was just released by Republican leaders.
You have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
I got rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a big chunk of Obamacare. That is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
The 142-page measure unveiled yesterday eliminates Obamacare's insurance mandates.
And this is a great plan. This isn't just a good plan. This is far better than Obamacare and more generous than Obamacare.
It came down to just one vote, John McCain's.
In the end, it was not enough. Republicans Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska joined McCain to doom the bill.
Boy, oh boy, the swamp.
I believe that President Trump is engaged in the most direct, sustained assault on freedom of the press in our history.
Bullshit.
Here's what happened. You know, we began the first segment on the Supreme Court. Then Biden started to answer a question, and the president started interrupting him.
Bullshit. Who started the interrupting? Go look. You don't have to trust me. Go look. It was Biden.
President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this and looking forward to this, Mr. President.
Thank you, Joe.
If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
Okay. Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
It's elected to the next
during
election.
that period of time.
The president was determined to try to butt in and throw Joe Biden off.
During that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years. And the 100 million people, Joe, The 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well, you're certainly going to socialist. You're going to socialist medicine.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. So when the president started engaging with Biden, we are not participants in what we cover. We are umpires. We're observers trying to be objective witnesses to what is going on. Well, your initial thought is that the president is interrupting too often. And you know, I felt like I had gotten together all of the ingredients. I had baked this beautiful, delicious cake. And then, frankly, the president put his foot in it.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Sunday shows barely a word about Chris Wallace's biased performance. Now, we all saw that. Now, since his debate performance was so abysmal, he's trying to rat out everybody in the room. Suddenly, he's like a hall monitor, the mask police, saying who was and who wasn't wearing a mask. Again, all the stuff that was happening behind him in the debate.
No, I'm going to finish my question. Everybody was told to wear a mask. Why did the first family and the chief of staff feel that the rules for everybody else didn't apply to them?
Chris, we believe that masks are very useful. The president has worn them on many occasions, including visiting the hospital where he's now a patient. When he was visiting as commander-in-chief as a guest to visit soldiers there, he wore a mask. People were distanced and they had been tested. Both of those things were true in that convention hall.
No, Steve, they weren't distanced and there were...
No, Steve, they weren't distanced and there were... No, Steve, they weren't distanced and there were...
rules and there was no freedom of choice. They broke the
Chris,
rules.
I was there. I was there like you were, and they were distanced.
Why did
those
they
chairs
break
were
the
not
rules?
close together. Look, those chairs were not close together. And again, we also believe that people
it doesn't
can
matter,
make
Steve. The
reasonable
rules from the Cleveland Clinic, they were close together, Steve.
They were close together, Steve.
And the rules from the Cleveland Clinic were everybody wears a mask. Why didn't
Chris, the way you're starting to harangue me now actually reminds me of what you did to the president during that debate on Tuesday night when he had to debate not just Joe. No, and he had to debate not just Joe Biden, but you as well. You were not a neutral moderator then. I don't mind tough questions. I welcome reasonably tough questions. But what I don't think is okay is for you to become the effective opposition to the president. Okay, and everyone there was tested in the crowd. They were distanced from each other. People can make reasonable decisions for themselves.
That's pretty wild. 5 days after the debate, the moderator is not talking about anything that happened, of substance during the debate. He's talking about the behavior of people who weren't making noise in the audience. Very, very strange.
Have you heard? Your former Fox News colleague, Chris Wallace, and my former colleague, Chris Wallace, just acting like the hall monitor 4 days after he blew the debate because he wasn't fair. Everybody knows that. Kind of talking about how people were behaving in the room. I find it kind of ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we followed all the rules. So if anybody is saying something else, they're dead wrong. We followed the rules. We tested negative. We were social distancing. You saw me right there with the mask on with the rest of the first family. Everybody that we passed by, we had a mask on. And then when we got to our seats, then we took our masks off. And again, we were socially distanced, sitting far apart from each other within that particular area.
I was appalled by Chris Wallace waiting a couple of days and trying to make that an issue instead of his, let's face it, totally biased and unobjective performance. But you don't have to go there. I just did.
And we followed all the rules. So anybody who says otherwise is totally mistaken.
Clinton has many more paths to 270 electoral votes than he does. But if he were to, he's got to win Florida, win Ohio, win North Carolina, flip a traditionally blue Democratic state. If he can do that, he's the next president. To open to the possibility Donald Trump could be the next president of the United States. As we sat down here at 6 o'clock tonight, that Hillary Clinton was going to take it. Now we're counting votes. I mean, now we're down to single votes. This could go either way. I think you'd still rather be in Clinton's position than Trump's as we sit here right now. The biggest political shocker in American history, the idea that Donald J. Trump, a man who's never been a politician, who never served as a general of the army, is the next president of the United States. Donald J. Trump, a man who's never been a politician, who
never served as a general of the Army,
never served as a general of the Army, never served as a general of the Army, never served as a general of the Army, never served as a general of the Army, is the next president of the United States.
Think of it. We get paid to tell the truth. How many people can say that?